Good morning. You look pretty this morning. Nice try.
It could just be you and me, baby. That'll be
Hey,
fun.
yeah, it'll be
If
awesome.
it is, I would be absolutely delighted. Can you see? You can see that, right?
Oh
Okay.
my gosh. Yeah.
All right, I'll explain it. I'm just doing a couple checks here. Now tell me if you can hear this music, okay?
Okay.
Can you hear it?
Yes.
Is it loud enough? Is it present enough?
Yes. Yep.
Is that better? Do you have to strain?
No.
Okay. All right. Don't worry, that's not the only kind of music I'm playing.
Hey, I love that music.
Good.
I love classical music. Oh my gosh, are you kidding? Yeah.
We're gonna have some fun. Maybe. We'll see.
Hey, we're gonna have fun no matter what.
Yeah, that's true. If I just had had some bourbon to put in my coffee, it would even be better.
What does your mug say?
It says, "Don't make me use my teacher voice."
That's really funny. That's perfect.
Yeah, Christy gave it to me for something. I don't know what. Maybe my birthday. I don't know. Oh, Janet's coming in. We see her.
She's coming in hot.
Coming in hot. I don't know about that. I don't see my daughter.
I just talked to her actually because this is the first self-care Sunday I've ever done and I wasn't sure how to get on.
Neither was I. I'm like, Christy, I really don't know how to do this. Good morning, Janet.
Good morning. I'm
Hi.
gonna get a glass of water so that I don't fall over in the middle of.
Did you
We
just
just
work
got
out?
back from an hour and a half walk. So
Wow.
Good for you.
Yeah, go get your water. I'd feel guilty, but it's only 8 a.m. here, so I don't feel that guilty yet.
Nope. It
And
is gorgeous.
it's absolutely dreary and gray and looks like a February day outside.
Oh man. The last couple days was soup. Like we go 0 to 900 here. So it was just so humid, just wilty. I had to turn the air conditioning on. I didn't have to, but Jimmy's really uncomfortable. He works in like a boiler room during the day. So it's like a gazillion degrees. So I try not to be a jerk about it, but I hate the air conditioning. It makes me feel real like sore throat and first world problems. I'm glad we have air conditioning. It's just nice to hear the birds today.
Yeah, that's what's weird about here. Janet, do you have air conditioning?
yes,
Okay.
yes, it's going to be 80 today. It was 87 yesterday, and it's been dry for most of the week. So, so the air is very humid, but it won't rain.
We've had a couple of thunderstorms, crazy storms. But
We even had a thunderstorm here, which was totally bizarre, just because it doesn't usually almost ever thunderstorm here. Ever.
About 10 days ago, we had torrential rain for 20 minutes, followed by about 10 minutes of quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds. It was just like, it was a half hour of total chaos. It was over.
Oh my gosh. That almost seems like someone was pressing buttons, right? Like programming it.
Well, I feel already like we live in a version of, I can't decide if it's the Hunger Games / Animal Farm / Animal House / Handmaid's Tale / it just seems like it's ever going on. Well, it is 8:04. I don't want to waste your ladies' time, so we'll give it another minute. And then Janet, let's see your sweater that you're making.
All right.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. This is. It's made from the neck down. So this is the neck. And I just separated the body from leaves here. And I'm
Wow.
hoping that this is going to be big enough for my guy, because that's who it's supposed to be for. But we'll see.
Man, I've never made anything except scarves. And I just found a huge basket full of yarn because every time I travel, I get yarn from the place I travel to that looks like that place to me. But the funny thing is, I haven't made anything. So I'm going back to scarves. And then maybe that'll be a goal for 2020 to complete something besides a scarf.
I was going to tell you, May, if you want a really nice set of patterns that teach you all the things you need to know, go to Kin Can Knits, and it'll teach you everything you need to know.
Okay, my daughter, Janet, I have to hear that. Christy is trying to tell me that this doesn't start till 8:30, and I'm like, no, we're all on here now, dear. We're waiting for you. Hi, Molly. You can unmute for a couple minutes because we're going to actually talk. I think my daughter's got like newly returned husband brain or something.
It's definitely 8.
She's on these every week. Who knows?
She is. And I wrote the email, so I can tell you for sure, 8 a.m.
She's funny.
She is funny.
So, Miss Molly, you're not at church right now?
No, I went to the drive-in at 9.
I think that's so fun.
Yeah.
That
They're
they
only
have
doing
that.
they're doing it for a few more weeks. So
I think that's a great idea. The church where Molly goes, it has this, they have a lot of property. And there's this hill, and in the past there used to be like stage sets that lived up on that hill. And they did Easter pageants and Christmas pageants. Hi, Christy.
Hi, guys. I seriously was going around reminding all the Facebook groups. I'd reminded Marco Polo, and I'm sitting here hanging with Georgia, and I'm like, I got 20 minutes to go before it's time. Nope. Hi, Georgia.
Hi,
That would
G.
be my daughter. All
Sorry,
right.
I'm late.
Well,
Good to see you.
Yes.
shall we get, anyway, the place where Molly is, when you went to see the pageant, you could tune in on your car radio. It was like a drive-in theater.
That was
And
cool.
I thought it was fun, but I'm glad they're doing church like that. Okay, well, let's hit it.
I'm going to mute out.
Yeah, you can mute out. I'm going to have you mute back in a minute, but just listen to a little music. I feel like after that musical introduction, I should have to say something like, live from Lake Stevens, Washington, we bring you the Fit Me Community Self-Care Sunday with your Fit Me guest host. Yeah, that would be great, but I'm not going to do that, so I won't waste your time. For those who, I think I've met everybody on here. If anyone's listening later who doesn't know me, my main claim to fame is that I am Christy's mom. My life separate from that, and George's Nana, and Henry and Logan's Nana, and Josh's mother-in-law. I'm also a musician, and I found this, and I thought it was really cool, because that's me way back at the beginning. And I actually started studying music when I was 4. And my grandparents lived in a very ethnic neighborhood with Polish folks and Italian folks, and at night they would come out and sit on their front stoop and play accordions or just whatever other instrument. This was in the very early 60s. Actually, it wasn't even the 60s yet, very late 50s. And I became enamored with an accordion. And this one, if you look, I'm not sure if you can see, but I was sure it was made of pure gold. Those keys, oh, there they are. Those keys, I was sure were gold, but they weren't. But it's okay. So I did a lot of music studying, from accordion through all the wind instruments, guitar. It ended up that 62 years later, here I am, and I'm a pretty eclectic musician. I like lots of things that I didn't used to like, and I think that's good because music's a part of every aspect of life. If you think about it, we are incredibly musical beings, and it starts from the moment of conception because that baby is rocked. Every time the mama moves, the baby's rocked. And that is the strongest rhythmic inbred thing that we all have. And if you're ever in line at a grocery store, or like in the olden days when we could stand in line at the grocery store, and you see a baby crying, or you hear a baby crying, every woman, doesn't matter if you've had a kid or not, will start instinctively doing this. You can't help it. You just do it. And the heartbeat, all of it. So by the time that we're hatched, music's already totally, absolutely ingrained. Now you get to unmute yourselves for a second if you want. You don't have to, but I want you to think of, and everybody, Christy, unmute because I'm going to ask you too. This is great. I get to boss her around for once. Molly, you too. Tell me, everybody needs to think of a major event in life where there's music, and we're going to go fast. So I'm going to give you like 5 seconds to think, and I'm going to call your name and tell me a major event where there's music involved. And Molly, go.
Wedding.
Janet.
Funerals.
Leah.
Graduations.
Christy.
Parties.
Kristen.
Funeral? Did someone say that already?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh gosh.
We'll come
Party.
back. Molly.
Parades.
Parades. Kristen, you have one?
I was saying a party.
Absolutely. Parties, everything. If you think it's probably more reasonable to think of what major life events do not use music. And they're very few, if any. I have a hard time thinking of some, everything from when you go to the dentist, when you're in an elevator, when you're in a store. Music has a variety of functions. It's soothing sometimes. It can stir you up sometimes. You can be manipulated into buying more in a store. I'm not sure if you knew that, but the type and the kind of music that's being played very, very much can shape and focus your music. Focus your attitude and what you're going to do. So you should be aware of that. And if you hear some music in the store, you might stop and think, All right, now we're gonna play a little game. And you can unmute if you want. And after this, I will let you stay muted. But I'm gonna play several short snippets of music. And I want you to tell me what it's associated with. All right, are we ready? Let me turn up the volume because that will really help with this little game. And what is it?
Circus.
You got it. There's just no possible confusion with that. This one's a little bit of a cheater because it's not exactly classical, but Rocky. All right. Janet, I know you'll know this one. These other younger ones might not have exactly the same association, but we do.
The Lone Ranger.
Yep.
Do you know the Lone Ranger?
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, they used to joke and they would say the sign of musical maturity is if you could go to a concert and hear the William Tell Overture and not feel inclined to yell, "Hi-yo, Silver," when that part comes out. Because everybody is like, you'll never separate that. Okay, couple more. This one. just tell me the mood or the event?
Haunted houses.
Haunted
Dracula.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Halloween. I mean, Bach didn't write it for Halloween, but that's what we do. Okay, this one again, Janet may know the movie that this piece was used in, even though I can't think of the name of it. I can tell you what it was about. But this, we'll just listen.
Burn his eyes.
I'm so familiar. Flight of the Valkyrie, right?
What?
Flight of the Valkyrie, right?
Yeah, it is. And our
Star
Land of
Wars.
Valkyrie. And it was used in a movie about Vietnam, Janet. Do you remember it? And every time the guy was going into battle, he would put that in his headset.
Apocalypse Now.
Yes,
Oh,
that was the one.
I think of Fantasia.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm not sure if that one's in the first Fantasia. It might be in the second. But now here's the first applicable trick for you guys. Music, as we just talked about, is extremely associative, and it can also take you from one place to another. But the key in that is the taking of you. For example, if you are feeling kind of depressed and you want to feel peppier, and you go and put on an incredibly peppy song right away, your body might not accept it. Your internal workings might say, no, that's too much of a shock. Or if you're super hyper, or if your kids are super hyper and you want to bring them down, it's not going to work to put on the quietest, most gentle. So what you really have to do is start up, and then you work your way down. So whatever your kind of music is, and we're all incredibly diverse and eclectic, you can use that same technique to make up a playlist, whether it's winding them down for bed or trying to get them ready in the morning where you're building them up. But just, this is a silly example, but if I was going into a nursing home, and you know, everybody's probably been in one, and it's very, you know, it's very dark sometimes, and I played this, if they didn't have a heart attack, it just shuts them down. So you need to know that. Now, I know most of you take part in athletic events of some type, and music's a really big part of that. Christy said to me once, I can't think of any planet that I could be on where I wouldn't be listening to music when I was doing CrossFit. And that's true. But just keep in mind that transformative power of it, which will take you from low to high or high to low. Now, since we've been just jumping all over the place, I'm going to focus us down a little bit, and we're going to just listen for a couple minutes. That's just a little snippet of a piece called Appalachian Spring, and it's by Aaron Copland, who is an American composer. It's very light. It can just kind of hit you where you are. It's not one extreme or the other. Where I want to go next, though, is to take you down a little bit more into something where you might need just to kind of center down a little bit. And this is one that always did it for me. I'm going to let a little bit more of this play. Now, as we know, in the last few weeks, it's been very hard, whether it's just due to the virus, whether it's due to all the unrest, whether it's due to disappointments that we've faced as events have been canceled, if it's due to, I don't even have to list them, we've all got them there. And for me, music can be very cathartic. Did I say it right? I always have trouble saying that word. It can just make your heart bleed. Do you want to make your heart bleed? I don't know. Sometimes maybe you do. I've known this piece for a long time. It's a piece that was written by Samuel Barber, and it was just an adagio for strings. It's very, very, very poignant. The interesting fact about this was another movie about Vietnam, Platoon, had asked Barber's estate if they could use the music. And I don't know what Barber's estate was thinking, but they said yes. And what happened is anyone who saw that movie, the scenes were so incredibly soul searing that it pretty much, just like we were attached to music earlier, we knew which one meant what, and, circus and blah, blah, blah. This piece was almost just irrevocably etched with these scenes from that movie. I would imagine most of you have not seen that movie, so that's not going to be a problem. It's what I would call a very painful piece, but sometimes it's really good just to hear that. The other, this will get me choked up. About, I don't know, Christy, when it was, we've gotten some takeout, during the COVID shutdown. And I had asked the boys, what they wanted. And it was a treat. I was treating. And I drove to Snohomish, about 20 minutes away, and picked up this meal for all of us. And it was expensive. It's fine. It was a treat, and it was just a special event. And, I probably spent close to $100 on getting this spread for us. And as I was driving home, this music was on. But as I was driving home, this tiny church right up the street was doing a food distribution. And people were lined up all the way down the street. And for this moment, I was just struck just so hard. But here I had this big shopping bag full of, treats. And here were people, some of whom could hardly walk, lined up for this food thing. So, maybe I'm just melodramatic. And the music was on, and it struck me so forcibly that I think this is why I came home and started talking to Christy just about how music does impact. I'm going to play a little more of this. I'm not going to play the whole thing. And don't worry, I'm not going to leave you down. I'll take you somewhere else after this. But right now, this is the Adagio for Strings by Barber. Personally, I think it's good to have music to cry through sometimes. Anybody and everybody who's ever had a broken heart has listened to the same song over and over and over and over again. But this is, I think I'd rather call it a contemplative piece rather than just a sorrowful or mournful piece. It's very contemplative. You can buy it on iTunes for like $1.29. I have a listing of these songs, and Christy will have that available in some way, shape, or form. But despite the fact that we've all had plenty of times for contemplation during COVID, I firmly, absolutely 100% believe in the power of human spirit and of hope and of strength and of drive. And this piece is going to show you that. Especially if I get it to the right place. Okay, that's a very loud piece, so that may have blown out your speakers a little bit. So I pulled that down. One thing, if I can just speak, number one, it's just very stirring to hear that music. It's called Pines of the Appian Way, and it was by Respighi, and it's just a snippet of it. Underneath, there was this movement. It was timpani, and they're moving, and they're moving, and they're moving, and that's what's taking you. And that's what's, driving. So it's a really cool piece, and you might enjoy listening to the rest of it. Now, I hope this one is a good piece to end on, because I think it is probably the most beautiful piece of music ever written. And it's very peaceful, and it's very gorgeous. And I think we need some peace. And I'm not going to tell you the title right now, just because the title is confusing, and I'll explain that afterwards.
Mom, try to shift your iPad and your computer so that they point towards each other a little different. That last piece of music didn't come through as clear.
I'm using the Bluetooth.
That might be why.
It may have just been, let me just start this and see if you can.
The other ones came through well, but that last one was.
It may have just been so loud that it blew it out. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
All right, now I'm going to switch to this last piece, which is so beautiful. Wrong. Nope. All right. How's that sound? Is that all right? Now let me move it, and I want you just to like forget the technical difficulties, or I could start coughing right now. And I'm going to take you to this place, and it's only about a minute. Sorry. Here we go. I chose to end with that piece just because I think it has all the elements. It's got the beauty, and it's got the peace, and it's got the movement, and it's got the hope. And I think that's a very important thing, which we all need right now. So that's all that I prepared. I didn't want to, sometimes when I say when I have to listen to stuff, I don't want to put my head through the wall. So I didn't want any of you to feel like you had to put your head through the wall. If you have questions about any of the pieces, feel free to ask, or about anything else. And after I shoot this list of things over to Christy, she can, I don't know where you might post it.
I can put it in the groups. And if you guys joined late, it was because I reminded everybody the wrong time. So this is recorded. And so you could watch the recording with the list if you want. And then you can go back and listen to the whole pieces if you want.
Hi, Georgia.
You should definitely listen or watch. This was really nice. Thank you so much, May.
Well, you're very welcome. When you look at the list, and when you, even if you jotted down any of the titles, a lot of times I pulled snippets from inside of the pieces. It wasn't just, hi, Georgia. It wasn't the whole piece. So you might have to see if you can find. But, and you know what, familiarity really helps. The first time you hear something, it may not resonate so well with you. And, you know, you use this with your own genre of music. Make your lists. That's your assignment. Make your list to move you up, or make a list to move you down, and set those up on your Alexas or whatever you have. So, anything else?
Hey, May, I really liked what you said about the progression of the pace of the music, as far as settling kids down or settling anybody down, and not just going right into the slow pace when they're in a frenetic pace.
Yeah, that's just a physiological principle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's just,
is.
I'm a nurse, and I just didn't think about that when when I'm doing my job, home health care, and I'm trying to, I know my client is tired and ready for a nap, but she's not wanting to settle down, and I'm just going straight to the slow stuff. And I'm like, duh, you know?
And sometimes, and it depends on the individual, music with words can keep your brain kind of stirring around more, because those words are, you know, they're flashing. When you're just doing instrumental or something, and this is my own personal opinion, I think it can affect a change better, just because it removes one layer of
Right.
your brain tuning in.
Yeah.
So that can be helpful.
Yeah, and that I was already playing like nature sounds with a little bit of music in the background, but I think that I'm going to start with a little bit more upbeat and kind of wean it a little bit more.
Try
You
it.
know, I'm going to start with the pace that she's at when we're getting ready for her to settle down, and I see that she's getting tired and yawning and rubbing her eyes. And
Yeah, it
then
can help. And the other thing, and I always say this, and I'm sure all the moms know this, I advocate having 2 or 3 songs that mean sleep, whether it's for a baby or an elder or anyone else. I mean, poor Georgia, when she hears the, let's see, I know a girl that you don't know, little Georgia May, plays all night and sleeps all day, little Georgia. That and this other stupid pumpkin song are her sleeping songs. And she starts to hear those. Sometimes she'll, she knows that she's going to go to sleep. But they work. And, you know, even when your child has trauma or something, those, I call them, you know, hook songs help so much. They can just be nonsense. I had one for each one of my kids. So when they were undergoing medical stuff, or Matt, my son, had to have casts on his feet from the time he was 3 months old, and, you know, for a while. And every time they change those, you know, you just sing that song and it calms and it anchors. And, or at least it calms and anchored me. No, I'm kidding. All right. Well, I guess this is probably a good time to say goodbye. And I know you want to all go get your playlists set up.
Well,
So
I
if you have
one way people can use the homework, because I know everybody's doing tons of walking, is a lot of times when I feel like I need a walk, I'll just put a podcast or audiobook in, but maybe this week everyone could try to like listen to a piece of music during a walk. Maybe not for the whole thing, but just give it a go and see how it impacts your mood and your energy. And if it feels more restorative than maybe keeping your mind going with a podcast or an audiobook.
And actually, the one piece that I think overblew the speakers, I tried that this week just to see, because it starts out, but yet it's got that underlying drive. I wanted to see if it would help me get through the walk, and it was okay. I would need to put a couple more pieces before it of just more on one level, and then start using that one as I got more tired to push through, because you can't help but feel, you know, noble as you're listening to that. You just can't. All right.
I think that was a really good point, Christy. And May, I love the idea of the playlist, because lately my mind has been whirling, like you were talking when you began this, so many thoughts in so many different arenas. And I actually had to stop listening to podcasts and audiobooks as I usually do, because I needed no more words. I just needed sounds, you know? So that was a really, really good point. And Christy, yes, it does work. And May, I love the idea of the playlist. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope everybody has a lovely, wonderful Sunday, and I hope the sun comes out here. It would be nice to see it. And thank you. I'll talk to you all later.
Thank you, May.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.